everybody, Kepwalski here, checking in with another one of our hashtag Star Trek Discovery Discussions videos. Today we're going to be talking about a survey that was sent to several of CBS All Access subscribers that really dealt with the All Access service, but primarily dealt with Star Trek Discovery. Now, there isn't much news really to share with this. I just wanted to go ahead and go through some of the questions with some of you that didn't get an opportunity to do the survey yourself, or maybe you're on the fence about doing the survey, and maybe you're not quite sure if you should do it or you should not. So I wanted to go through all of the questions with each of you and just basically run through them really quickly so you understand what CBS is doing and why they're doing it. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so the survey opens up pretty easily. It just asks you what your age range is. I selected mine. Then it asks you if you've heard of these other shows that are essentially on CBS All Access. And to be quite honest, I'd only heard of a few of these. And most of these that I did hear of were only through ads that I saw on CBS All Access. So that's really bad on their own PR team. So yeah, I definitely selected a few of these here. Next up, it says right here, who in your household watched Star Trek Discovery Season 2? It didn't say all of my family, but I went ahead and just selected me for this question. So on this one here, I thought it was quite interesting. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a fan of you are Star Trek Discovery? 0 being not a fan at all, 10 being a super fan. So I did this survey twice, and I only submitted it once at the end, just so that, you know, I'm not trying to skew any of their own personal results because I think data is important. I don't want to mess it up for them. But I did this survey twice. I selected both not a fan at all and a super fan to see if I was going to get different, different questions throughout the rest of the survey, and unsurprisingly, I did not. It was just the same exact questions for both 0 or 10. So that was just kind of interesting. It's something I wanted to let you guys know that I did try to see if I could get some other kind of question there. Here it says, on which social media platform did you hear about Star Trek Discovery? Select all or play. I went ahead and selected both Twitter and Facebook because I do see a lot of ads on both of those for Star Trek Discovery. Not trends on Twitter, but ads on Twitter that I've seen. It is interesting, though, that they did not include YouTube into this, and there were no questions about YouTube on this survey at all, so that kind of, hurt my feelings, but whatever. I did write it in for other, please specify. I wrote YouTube down there for the survey that I did submit. Here it just asks you how many episodes you watched. Here it says you mentioned that you watched Star Trek Discovery Season 2. How satisfied are you with the show overall? And I went ahead and selected, obviously, again, the same situation. When I did the 0, not interested, I picked very unsatisfied. And then for the 10, I picked very satisfied. This also had no change for me in terms of the follow-on questions. Which of the following describes the way you watched? I would normally say that I would watch all the episodes, at once. But since that's not what I did, I went ahead and selected, for the first go-through, I went ahead and selected I watched each episode every week. And then for the second time through, I said that I watched the entire season in one sitting. Again, no change in the questions overall. It says here, are you finished watching Star Trek Discovery? How lucky are you to keep your CBS All Access subscription? So for this, it's kind of a loaded question for our household because we've actually had CBS All Access since before Star Trek Discovery was ever even announced. We use it to watch other shows, kind of basically just like junk TV and stuff like that. So it's one of the subscription services that we already were paying for. So this wasn't a very fair question to me, but I understand why it's in there because they are concerned about people just dropping off of CBS All Access after Star Trek Discovery, for instance, finishes up. And probably for Star Trek Picard once that comes out and finishes up as well. So this question was very weirdly worded. It says, if Discovery is renewed for Season 3, how likely are you to watch the next season? I thought about this for a little bit, but in reality, I honestly just think that they were probably just copying, pasting this question out of a previous survey, and nobody bothered to actually quality check these questions. Again, for both, I did select one very unlikely and a different one as very likely. No changes in the survey overall. Here it says, how likely are you to watch these CBS All Access originals? Honestly, I said extremely likely for the Picard series and Lower Decks, somewhat likely for a few of them, and not likely for the rest. So, how aware of you of the Star Trek website is a very strange question. I did, again, never heard of it, and extremely familiar. No change overall. Again, this was another very strange question for Star Trek-related news and information. I just found it weird the websites that they listed were Trek Movie, CBR, The Mary Sue, comicbook.com, StarTrek.com, and entertainmentweekly.com. I thought those were a very weird grouping, other than the fact that they own the majority of these websites, but I just thought that was a very strange grouping. What are your favorite TV shows? Enter your top 3 favorites. This is a personal list of mine. I did go ahead and put Star Trek as a whole, as number 1, and then I put Stargate SG-1 as number 2, and then I put The West Wing as number 3. This was a pretty simple, straightforward question about which way I watch the actual show. Really, it's just smartphone, tablet, and laptop. And I have a lot of these subscription services, which makes me wonder how much money I'm spending each month on these, but I did answer that. Here's a question right here that says, how did you hear about Star Trek Discovery? Again, kind of similar to what kind of social media thing it was, but I honestly just got word of mouth and TV commercials and social media posts for overall. They didn't ask me any other questions about anything except for social media, though. Here's a question that says, how would you describe Star Trek Discovery and to someone who hasn't seen it before? I thought this was kind of a weird question, and I'm not quite sure what the intention is with a question like this, but I did answer it rather briefly with something to the effect of just what Star Trek is about, of, saying like, oh, it's about the future and about being hopeful and about teamwork and working together and family and things of that nature. And I kind of just gave it the, the Gene Roddenberry treatment as an answer here. One of the questions here was, which of the following characters from Star Trek Discovery do you most enjoy watching? And they listed almost everybody except for a few of the minor bridge crew characters here on this list. And, well, I think we all know who I picked. That's my boy Anson Mount. And I definitely went ahead and talked about how much I liked his character and how much I would love to see a Pike Spock spin-off series. And then at the end here, they basically just go through a bunch of kind of generic kind of information, trying to get your understanding of your education, your demographic stuff, I think more just for their data collection. Anyways, guys and gals, that kind of wraps up the survey. Again, it's not too much news or information. I do think it's interesting that Star Trek is getting its own private survey from CBS. I know that they did ask a few generic questions about CBS All Access, but in reality, that survey was really geared specifically towards people who watch Star Trek Discovery or who don't watch Star Trek Discovery and why they don't watch it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I just wanted to share it along with you guys and gals. I do believe that season 2 was an attempt at a bit of course correction for the show overall, especially now that we know how this season 2 ended and moved on with its storyline and stuff like that. And I think that they're going to probably try to continue to do that course correction mentality all the way through season 3 and possibly 4, 5, 6, or how many seasons we get of Star Trek Discovery. So, and possibly concerned about the process for Star Trek Picard and the rest of Star Trek at that matter. So I think it makes sense that they're trying to get feedback, direct, raw feedback from viewers who are just watching this, these shows that aren't necessarily dealing with the drama on YouTube or on Twitter, on Facebook and stuff like that are just Joe Blow sitting down watching Star Trek and not really caring too much about all the stuff that we deal with here on the channel and stuff like that. So I think they're trying to get some of that raw feedback. So I think it's smart of them to do this, but I just wanted to go ahead, like I said, and share that information with all of you. So if you guys got the survey, let me know what you thought of it. Did you think it was pretty smart, the questions the way that they did? Or do you think that they didn't ask enough kinds of questions? Or what kind of question would you like to have seen? I'm curious to hear what you guys and gals think about it. Anyways, I will catch all of you next time. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies!